Hello everyone, my name is ATR and I'm going to make this video real quick to go over the patch notes for the update that should be hitting us tomorrow. General, it says fixed 1 frame delay between user input and unit movement. That basically just means faster response time. It's 1 frame. We don't know how that is going to impact, but yay, more responsiveness. Updated vehicle pathing. Well, we'll see how good the pathing is now. Yeah, not much we can say about that until we test it out. And a new map, Langreskaya Spring and Winter maps added. 1v1 Automatch and 1v1 and 2 custom game. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It almost feels like we've played it before, huh? Anyways, on to the good stuff here. Balance. Commander ability changes. The following abilities had their command points CP cost reduced to increase commander appeal. In contrast to the majority of Soviet commanders, a number of German doctrines did not have abilities available at 1 CP. So we have 4 abilities being reduced to 1 CP, which is Panzer Tactician, Mordor Half-Track, Artillery Field Officer, and the Rigel 43 AT Mind. Those are going down from 2 to 1, which means that they are going to be able to hit the field a lot sooner, which is really nice to have actually, because usually, at least in 1v1, you don't see German or Austria players getting their commanders that soon. Most of the times, they don't even rely on the commander much for anything. They, they get their units, they get their tiers, and eventually they'll get a commander, either to get some ability they want later on, or a unit, or simply to counter what the Soviet player has thrown at them. So with this, even though it's not, they're not that great abilities, I guess you could say, it gives the option for the German player to actually dictate for once how the game is going to be. So things like the Mortar Half-Track can hit the field a lot sooner than you would normally see them, and that could actually have an impact on the game. So we'll see how these changes affect the overall gameplay. And we also have Fear Propaganda Artillery being reduced from 5 to 3 command points. Again, that's very interesting because it's going to change the timing on when that ability can actually be used. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if these affect and make new strategies in the game. Anyways, the following changes were made to improve the usability of rapid conscription and relief infantry overall. It was very difficult to recover your cost on investment to both abilities due to their relative low duration. The goal was to increase the rate at which players could recover their cost and provide a possibility to earn back more than the initial resource investment. Now, rapid conscription is an ability I have not used myself because it was not desirable for me, because I would only potentially use it with the conscript support doctrine, which had this little thing here, which made it so that your units were replaced with penal battalions rather than conscript. And with that commander that I would have used I used that commander because it gave my conscripts a lot of abilities. It gave them the ability to repair, PPS agents, and hit the dirt, which we'll see over here in a second. So now, since it's actually going to give you conscripts, it might, be more appealing. Now, the changes to these abilities were made. The maximum replace squads down from 6 to 2, which seems bad, but I mean, that's fine. But the duration was increased from 30 seconds to 120, so it lasts 4 times as long, meaning that it's not, something you have to click as a reactionary thing. You can have it active for 2 whole minutes, which means that prolonged engagements are, ideal for this. The recharge time was doubled from 90 seconds to 180 seconds. I didn't use this ability before, so it doesn't really affect me, but well, we'll see how this affects it. And the munitions was reduced from 200 to 160, so that means you could use it more often. And, well, again, make it a little bit more appealing. Simply the fact that it's now giving you conscripts instead of penal battalions might make it so that you see more use out of this. And, well, I've updated the tooltip that is. Relief infantry for the German player. This one can give you 3 squats, and same changes, 120 seconds and 180 seconds recharge. Now, the thing with these, I mean, I'm not saying they're bad. I mean, it's fine. It's an ability. We'll see how much use people find out of them now. But before, I would not use it because I don't like the idea personally of sacrificing infantry, because you can compare this ability to, say, the Allied War Machine back from Vanilla Company Heroes, where your tanks, your vehicles would get replaced if you lost any while the ability was active. That ability, you could use it in situations like, say, the German player had a king tiger hit the field, and you had to take it out. You build, I don't know, 3, 4 um, tank hunters, and rush at that king tiger, get behind it, circle strafe it, all that, with the notion that you were gonna lose some of those tanks, even all of them. So once you start taking damage, you hit that ability, the Allied War Machine, and you would get those tanks replaced, or the German would stop firing at your tanks because he didn't want you to get rid of the replacements. In which case, your tanks just kept on having free shots at the King Tiger and potentially taking it down. So it was mostly win-win in those situations. But it was situations where you were expecting those losses. You knew that those tanks that you were sending out, you were probably not going to get them back and probably lose them all. But it allowed you to recover the cost of those tanks and get them back on the field and keep that tank presence. So it was really strong. Here, though, with the conscription and relief infantry, I mean, the notion, at least for me, of sending your infantry squads, out there to die, is not appealing because infantry need they need that veterancy, so you need to keep them alive. I mean, there's situations where you have to sacrifice them, maybe going for a victory point because you're getting ticked out and ticked down, that is, and otherwise you're going to lose the game. There's situations where it has to be done, and those are where you potentially could use this. But now, I mean, it's 120 seconds, so it's not a reactionary ability. You could have it active more often for prolonged engagements, and if you do end up losing your units, and you can get up to 2 squads replaced or 3 with this one. So like I said, it does make it a little bit more appealing. We'll see how often these get used now. Anyways, continuing, it says, previously, Hit the Dirt had the capacity to have its modifier stack with cover. This led to extremely durable units at very little cost to the user. It also impacted many of our combat systems, leading to inconsistent and or undesirable behaviors, such as snipers missing the infantry. So it says, Hit the Dirt. Hit the Dirt now provides light cover rather than a 0.5 perceived accuracy modifier. So yeah, everybody was complaining about Hit the Dirt. It was understandable. It was very powerful, especially because it hit the field at 1 CP. So that's why I mentioned that these can actually have a very strong impact on how the game progresses. But yeah, I mean, Hit the Dirt is now not going to reduce the modifiers. She's going to provide you light cover. Now, my question with this, the wording on this makes me feel like they don't want it to stack with anything. So my concern here is that, so what if you have your units in heavy cover and you hit the Dirt? Does it take away the heavy cover and put you in light cover? Because if that's the case, then this ability is pretty crappy now. If it adds like a layer of light cover on top of the heavy cover, I mean, that could still be good. I mean, we don't want it to be as broken as you could say as it is right now because of the modifier. But yeah, I mean, my hope is that at the very least, if you're in green cover, you keep the green cover instead of going down a light. But if it adds it on top, I mean, I guess that's still pretty good. I don't know. We'll see how big of an impact it is to only have light cover with the Hit the Dirt ability now, and see if people still use it as much. Now, Strafing Run. The JU-87D Strafing Run now functions as a suppression ability. The loiter behavior was modified to improve the visuals of the off-map and make it more susceptible to anti-air weapons. Another ability everybody has been crying about because it's essentially too strong. Reminds me of the original Strafing Run back in Vanilla Company and Heroes. Again, everybody hated that until it got nerfed to... well, it was still usable, but well, I guess whatever. We'll see what it does here. So essentially, attacks per aircraft from 5 to 3, so it attacks less often. Delay between attacks from 3 seconds to 18 seconds, so it attacks less times and not as often. But the duration was increased from 48 seconds to 75 seconds. So yeah, essentially, like they said, the loiter behavior. So the aircraft is going to be flying around more often. I mean, not more often, but for a longer time. But it's not going to attack as often, and it's only going to make 3 strafers apparently. Which makes it so that it looks cooler because it's kind of nice to see an airplane, flying by, but it makes it so that it, could be shot down by the anti-air weapons. These I am not entirely familiar or knowledgeable to know exactly what they do, but basically target lead in and out, down to, move to 20. And I mean, the reason I get confused is because these sound very similar to me because we have attack target distance from 150 to 225, and we have now here max range from 175 to 225. To me, these are the same thing, but apparently they're not. They have different values, not the same, but whatever. So all these are getting modified. Target attack time from 2.125 to 4.25. I mean, to me that sounds like the actual run, the time it's shooting lasts longer. I don't know. Modified user interface so that it matches the loiter radius, so you can actually now see where it's going to be flying around. And this is the significant part, I guess you could say. Damage from 8 to 2.5. So like they said, it's not going to be for killing infantry now. It's more of a suppression because it says here rate of fire down by half, 32 to 16, but the suppression from 0.12 to 0.25. So yeah, I mean, essentially it's now going to be used to pin that infantry, suppress it and pin it. So you can either use it to disable the infantry when you're going to attack, or stop the infantry if they're charging. Because one thing to keep in mind is that pinned infantry cannot capture points. So if they're getting your victory points from you, you use this ability. If you can pin them, that unit is not going to cap anymore. So we'll see how good this is. This ability was being used a lot, maybe even abused, you could say, by players, but that was because this next one. Opal Blitz Cargo Truck. Previously, the cargo truck was multiplying a sector's value by a factor of 2. This resulted in extreme edge cases where fuel and munition incomes were higher than expected. To resolve this, supply trucks will only add a set amount of resources to sectors. The cargo truck setup within the sector now adds 3 fuel and 5 munitions per minute, rather than multiplying the sector's value by 2, and cargo truck cost from 200 to 300 manpower. So yeah, a nerf, I guess you could say, to the Opal Blitz. It costs more manpower to deploy, and it's not gonna double your income from that sector. I mean, you would see players having Opal Blitzes on the munition sectors, which allowed them to have basically non-stop strafing runs in the game, which is why people were crying a lot about the strafing run. It was still really strong. I mean, it was too strong, I guess you could say, but combined with this, it was being abused. And the Opal Blitz, costs more, so use it a little bit more sparingly. Adjustment to scatter distance. The following units had their scatter distance refactored to better match their performance and design. Higher scatter values generally implies weapons are less accurate. So from that, I take it that the higher the number here, it means the less accurate the weapon is. So the IS-2, it's from 7.5 to 2.86, so that should mean that the IS-2 is more accurate. Panzer IV, 6 to 9.5, so that means the Panzer should have its accuracy reduced. T70, 1.84 to 1.7, so a slight buff to this T70 there, making it a bit more accurate. T34, 85, these are the call-in T34s, not the ones you can build. 3.4 to 2.6, so that should make them more accurate. The Tiger is from 6.8 to 4.3, that's good. I mean, a lot of people don't like the Tiger right now. They feel that it's not worth the cost. So it looks like they're going to make it more accurate, so hopefully that should make it a little bit more appealing to people. Ostwind 1.98 to 2.15, so that should mean it's less accurate. And the Broombar is 4.55 to 1. So that should make it way more accurate. So we'll see how the Broombar fares with that. Now, heavy machine gun suppression modifiers. This is something that I was questioning in my previous videos, replays, about how machine guns functioned when they were pinned. So yeah, it looks like they were taking a look at that themselves too. So heavy machine gun teams no longer function efficiently while pinned. This discourages tactics such as moving a heavy machine gun team into a setup heavy machine gun team, unless on the flank. Pinned heavy machine gun squads now have the following modifiers applied to their squad. So weapon accuracy is reduced by 75%, weapon reload and cooldown increased by 100%, weapon scatter increased by 320%. These are the only 4 that affect that. So yeah, before that's what I was questioning, because even the machine gun, while it was pinned, while all their units were on the floor covering their heads, the gunner would still be on the gun and shooting crazily. You could do basically where you would move, say, a Maxim machine gun into the range of fire of MG42, and it would still set up and start shooting at that MG42 and potentially even killing them, definitely suppressing and pinning them too. So now that should stop, probably, because if the heavy machine gun gets pinned, they squats pinned. Yeah, it's only when pinned, not suppressed. So yeah, when they're pinned, the accuracy gets reduced by 75% and the scatter increased by 320, which means that they're not going to hit anything. The reload and cooldown means it's going to take longer for them to shoot, so longer bursts and things like that. But my question with this is, because this is only affecting accuracy and scatter, they're not going to hit, but are they still going to suppress? Because you could still potentially, run your machine gun in there to pin the other machine gun, even if you're not going to kill it, and then you would have both machine guns just shooting at each other indefinitely because they're not hitting anything, but they're still suppressed and pinning each other. So that's something I'm wondering about. You know, are they still going to be able to suppress through that? Anyways, the next thing is Maxim machine gun was properly movement. The movement is properly reduced when suppressed. That was just like a bug that came out of one patch, so it yeah, makes it so they move slower. And these two have nothing to do with the machine gun. It says the Stug target size set from 20 to 14, so I'm assuming that means the Stug is smaller. We'll see. We'll see what that ends up being. And the Radial AT mine recharged from 30 seconds to 0. This is the one that got changed to 1 CP, which means that now you can deploy as many AT mines as you want as long as your munitions allows it. And there's no cooldown. It was a 30-second cooldown before, so yeah, like I said, those are things to keep in mind. Might impact the game. And lastly, there's some bug fixes. The command tank essentially, well, it says now properly validates. This prevents the user from using the call-in when they are near max pop. So basically, the command tank before, there was a bug where you could call it in even if you had max population cap and go over it. So now with that, it should allow you to, I mean, it shouldn't allow you to get it if you're at max pop. And the incendiary barrage duration now better matches deployment time. So again, some fix on the incendiary barrage duration. So that's it. Those are the changes that are going to be hitting us tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think about it. I am going to try to make a quick video just to go over this map, which looks very familiar. It sounds like we've played it before. You can actually probably see videos, especially from Krebs Coho. He has a video out showing the map, but if you want, I'll go ahead and make a video tomorrow once I have access to that map, just to go over it, see what the differences are from the one that looks familiar to it. and yeah, but anyways, let me know what you think about these notes. Is there some things you think they broke or you like, of the changes? Again, if you have any positive or negative remarks, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. And if not, well, just go ahead and don't. Anyways, I'll see you guys later, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.